so excited.
Thank you.
So Per, the day we are recording this, it's October 28th, the release day of the new Pop-Up Dynamo album for PG Roxette. Just how's the whole day been going for you so far?
Well, it's been a great week after all. I mean, it's been like this. It's a good vibe in the air. It's a buzz around the record, which you never know. You know, when you release something new, you never really know what people are gonna expect. And but reception has been really cool, and people seem to like it, and I like it too. So I'm happy.
Hey, I love it as well. I was able to listen to it and just it blew me away, honestly. I was just every track just so awesome. I loved it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. You know, it was done. It was finished like I think April, May last year. So it's been lying around for a bit. So it always feels cool when you finally can release something, you know, because it collects dust on the shelf, which is terrible, you know. And I've been doing ever since I made the PG Roxette album. I've been doing, as you know, the acoustic tour, and I've been doing a new album with Gyllene Tider. So I've been basically doing everything else. So suddenly I'm going back to this project. So it's always nice to have it out.
Yes.
Tons of
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I remember hearing that a working title for this album was Pop Like a Bubble. So how did the name end up becoming a Pop-Up Dynamo from that working title?
basically because I decided to remove the Necessary song from the album because I didn't I thought it you know I felt like pop like a bubble is a phrase from that lyric. You might know that from the Necessary lyric. So when I removed the song, you know, I just felt like I had to change the title a bit, but I wanted the pop word in there. So I felt like since I was doing so many different things at the same time, I felt like I popped up here and popped up there and popped up there, and I wanted to have this sort of energy, positive, up tempo feel to it. So I created this pop up dynamo phrase, which I thought was cool, and I tried it out on the band, and everyone liked it. So off we went. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I really love the album. It really just speaks like up tempo and fun.
Mhm. Yeah, that was the whole idea, you know, and that was also the tough thing to do, to create something that is up tempo, you know, because for me, generally speaking, when I write songs, it's much harder to write fast or up tempo songs than write mid tempo or ballads. You know, maybe it has to do with my age. I don't know, but it's and I'm every time I do something that is like I feel like I can do like an up tempo song out of it. I'm very pleased.
Yes.
The first song I wrote for this album was "Walking on Air." And that sort of set the whole tone for the album. I just felt like that song was really cool, and I love that chorus. Uh, and so, you know, off I went. As soon as I wrote "Loneliest Girl in the World," I knew that I had a great album coming, slowly but surely coming together. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I heard, as always with classic Roxette records or albums, uh, all the songs tend to be a little bit better when you hear them alone. You know, when you hear them one by one. If you listen to the whole album all together, they seem to sort of I don't know. It just it's a lot of melodies going on there all the time. So it's nice to have to separate the songs and just play one song and then play something else, another artist maybe, and then go back to another song. You know, it was the same problem with Joyride and Look Sharp. You know, it was so many hits, so many songs. You know, that were sort of very immediate, and it's all very melody based anyway. So it's just the way I am, you know, the way I write, style.
Right, and of course, you've said that the idea for this album was to write songs in the style of Look Sharp and Joyride. So, how did you go about creating something that honors those previous albums while also, being modern at the same time?
Well, I think when I said that, a lot of people misunderstood me because I wasn't trying to say that it's gonna sound like Look Sharp or Joyride. You know, what I wanted to say was that songs in that style. And there is a certain style when I wrote songs for Roxette in those days, how you do the modulations and how we arrange the songs. And so I just felt like I wanted to go back to that style. And over the recent years, so I have slowly but surely changed my style of writing. But working with Clarence is the key man here, because Clarence is like the classic Roxette producer. And when we decided to do something that was based, rooted in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, he started playing keyboards in that style as well. You can hear that on Watch Me Come Undone, or you can hear it on his synthesizer parts in Walk Right In. I mean, it's classic Roxette style, right? Even though it sounds, hopefully, it doesn't sound like 89. I wanted it to sound like today, but because I didn't want to make it like a retro record, but I wanted to be based in that classic Roxette vein, so to speak. So that's what I wanted to, what I actually meant when I said that it's like a sibling to Look Sharp or Joyride.
Yeah, and I just want to say that with this album, I really just enjoy that. I really think that it does a great job of paying homage, to those great albums, but also remaining modern at the same time in terms of its sound. I think it's just just a beautiful, wonderful piece of art, honestly.
Thank you very much. It's a very nice production. It's very sophisticated and it sounds really good. I mean, Ronnie Lahti, who mixed it, he's one of the best there is in the business, on an international basis. So he's just amazing, and he never lets anything go unless it sounds top notch. So he's done a great job as always. I started working with him a long time ago. He was the engineer for the Room Service album back in 2000. So, and went on to do lots of mixing for Max Martin and all those people. So he's had so many hits all over the world. He's based here in Stockholm. Very good guy.
Well, man, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you bring up Room Service. It's one of my favorite albums.
Yeah, it's nice. It's got a nice, clean, warm sound to it, which is very much Ronnie's sort of style, which I like. Over the years. I mean, there is one track on the album, Jezebel, which is produced and mixed by Christopher, and he's got a different style when he's mixing. You can hear that he's a little bit more edgy, which is nice if you want to go that direction. But for this album, I prefer to stick with the Ronnie style. It's warm and it's radio friendly, as we call it. It sounds good.
Yeah, it certainly does. I want to talk about just some of the songs, specifically on this album. Do you have a specific song from the album that you are most proud of? And this can be in terms of lyrics or sound.
Well, I think I like all of them, of course, but I like Watch Me Come Undone because I really love that melody. It's the only song that has the same chords in the verses as in the choruses. Which means it's the same style as I used for Some Other Summer, for instance. And when you do it like that, you have to be very careful when you create the melodies. And for Watch Me Come Undone, I think I succeeded really well. I think it's a really beautiful melody line in the choruses. And Dia and Helena is just their vocals are just amazing on that one. So, and I love the whole 80s, all those warm analog synthesizer sounds. Sort of what's it called? It just surrounds the song. It just makes the song like cotton. It's just really wonderful. So I like that one, and I like Walk Right In because it reminds me a little bit of how I felt when I wrote Love Is All for Marie for the Crash Boom Bang album. It's an impossible song for me to sing. I can't sing like that at all. So Helena did this fantastic job singing it. And also Magnus and Clarence came up with this idea to do like a Giorgio Moroder style of synthesizer bass. We sort of changed the whole scene in the song after a minute or so. And I thought that was really funny. And it's a pretty complex chord structure in that song, but I think it's cool. It's not typically me, but it's as soon as I wrote it, I felt like it was something special, and I like those lyrics. I think that's why I think it's why I put it as the end song. It's because it's got it's like the finale of the album, and it's because of the lyrics, and also because Helena is doing such a great job. It's just perfect. It's really hard to have a song after that song, you know. So it's I like that. But I like Debris. I think that's a nice track as well. I like Headphones On is cool. That was the last song I wrote, and I there was a point during the recordings I felt like we needed more guitars. My intention was to have more guitars on the album that it eventually became. We recorded more guitars on certain songs, like Loneliest Girl in the World had more guitars on it to begin with, but we took away them in the final mix. But for Headphones On, I just felt like we should have a proper guitar solo, and Jonas should be able to stretch a bit. So we did this song. I did this song and let him do whatever he wanted, basically. And he's such a great player. It's just an honor and a blessing to have him around to do all these little tricks. And if you want to make a record that's sort of reminiscing of Roxette, you definitely have to have Jonas on board, just like Clarence with his keyboard things. So I like that track as well.
Yeah. I totally agree. I'm glad you mentioned Debris, because I think that's my favorite on the album. I really love the lyrics, and just as soon as the song comes on, you got just great whimsical lyrics. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I don't know what to do. Wednesday comes so quickly, I never have a clue. Thursday morning, my breakfast tea is blue. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's cool. I like it too. It's as soon as you have this sort of 6/8 grooved beat to the song, it's the same as Cooper or Crash Boom Bang. It's the same sort of. I love that beat, but you can only use it once in a while. There's always only space for one song like that on an album, because it makes it so special. But you can use a beat like that. It becomes like a centerpiece of the album, no matter what, because it's so different from everything else. I like it a lot. I think it's great. It's a classic Roxette style with the modulation in the middle of the solo with changed keys and everything. It's really cool.
Yeah, it sure is. And for Debris, you said that the keyboards on the song reminded you of the keyboards on one of your favorite TV shows growing up, The Persuaders, with Roger Moore and Tony Curtis. So what was it like having that song conjure up memories of watching the TV show?
Now it was just when we started working on it, Magnus started playing my riff, this with a sound that reminded me of this TV show. So I told him to listen to that song, and then he created a sound that sounded almost exactly like the TV song, which I thought was really cool, because I love that sound. It's a great sound. It's from the I don't know, very early 70s, when as soon as you heard a synthesizer, in those days it was like, what is this? It's the old analog style. It's cool.
Yeah, I agree. I actually was able to watch the first episode of The Persuaders on YouTube last night, because you piqued my interest, and
Yeah.
I have to say I really enjoyed it. Curtis and Morris, it's such a fun, charming show, and they're a great duo. It's a really fun. I'll have to watch more of it.
It's that's the I'm gonna close down someone is texting me all the time, and let me see if I can get rid of that. Please don't text me. No, thank you. That pilot, the the first episode of The Persuaders is by far the best. So you, but it's a really, when they're driving all these two cars, you know, it was when I was like 12, 13, I just love that, you know, the Aston Martin and the Ferrari driving in on the Riviera, you know, in Monaco or whatever, Monte Carlo. Cool.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Like I said, I'll have to watch more of it. Another highlight of this album for me is "You Hurt the One You Love the Most," which you wrote with Giorgio 2 and 4, you've worked with previously on Mono Mind. When he says to you, "Hey, let's make a new Listen to Your Heart together," what's the first thought that popped in your mind when he said that?
I started to laugh because, you know, it's like it's such a he knew that as well. I mean, it's impossible. It's always impossible to sit down and try to write something that's going to be successful, you know, and he knows that, but he's been around. Uh, but I guess what he meant, or what he wanted us to do, was to write something, you know, grand, something big. And Giorgio is a really truly amazing piano player. He's a classical trained piano player. So he was just sitting. We were working in Martin Garrix's studio in Amsterdam for a day, and he just started playing these chords, and I started, you know, I just loved those chords, and I started singing, and it sounded it just became, you know, what it is, you know, la, da, 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 da. What you gonna do about it, you know, all those, it just popped up, and so I just felt that we had something really cool, and we didn't really make a demo. I just had it on my iPhone, and then when I came back home, I put it all together and wrote the lyrics, and also it felt like it needed. I felt like I should use it myself. I didn't really. That was actually the only song where I could really hear Marie sing. You know, it would be an amazing song for Marie. You know, so I didn't really know how to do it because I didn't really feel comfortable singing it myself. But on the other hand, I felt like it wasn't. It's not Dia style. It's not really Helena style either. So I didn't really know what to do with it. So then I decided to, you know, divide the chorus. So we all of us are singing the chorus. They sing certain phrases and I sing certain phrases, which becomes sort of unusual in a way. So that was really cool. But then I knew, since I knew it's going to be a good, wonderful track. I felt like it needed a little bit more Roxette treatment. So that's why I wrote this ending part, you know, the coda of the song, which is totally different chords than the rest of the song, which is very classical Roxette as well. The same thing we did in Spending My Time, for instance. Totally new. The ending of the song is totally new. Yeah, and it's in the Roxette DNA style. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's a track that really blew me away the first time I heard it, and you know, and immediately when I was listening to it, I was definitely getting the "Listen to Your Heart" vibes from it. It's just a really beautiful song.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. I think it's fun. It's very rare also when you write. I'm not the best collaborator when it comes to write songs because for me writing songs is very much like it's private and personal, and it's hard for me to just sit down and, you know, play piano or guitar and see what happens. You know, I always tell people that I try to write as little as possible. You know, I only try to write when I really feel like writing, and go into a room with a bunch of other people and trying to create something. It's not really my cup of tea. So I was really happy when Giorgio came up with this idea, and also very happy that the song actually became very good. I think it's cool. All the other songs we've written together uh, with Giorgio, Save Me a Place, for instance, for Mono Mind, has been bits and pieces. You know, I've heard bits, some stuff that he made on his own, and then I took that and I added stuff, you know, in my studio, and then I sent it back to him, and he added some stuff. And, you know, it's like you're not sitting in the same room at the same time writing, and so that's kind of different. It's the same when I wrote songs with Mats, when we wrote "Listen to Your Heart," for instance, or "Queen of Rain," or "Spending My Time," or "Perfect Day." We never really sat down together and wrote it. It was like he had some stuff some melody lines that I really liked, and then I just finished them for him. I created like a Listen to Your Heart. I think um, Mats had a song with those chords that are in the verse that was like a chorus in his song. So I took his chorus, and made a verse out of it, and then I wrote a new chorus to his verse. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's very much how we worked in the past. We never really sat down. In the early days with Unitated, we sat down, and created Dansa inte lika bra som sjömän. Those type of songs we wrote, in the same room. Otherwise, it's been like creating a puzzle or making a puzzle.
Yeah, well. Hey, it's a wonderful puzzle. I'll say that.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Walk right in. We were talking about this earlier. You already kind of said why you chose this track to be the closer, but it's not a typical Roxette album closer. I remember listening to it, and I was definitely expecting a ballad. So it's definitely something that I think will definitely surprise some people.
Yeah, but that whole style. I mean, Roxette never did that type of hardcore, 80s dance stuff, on the Look Sharp or Jordan, but certainly didn't do it. I mean, we fooled around a little bit with a dance style in Stars, for instance, or Some Other Summer, but otherwise, this is the first time. This was like, I don't know, this is like an homage to that sort of, like I said, Giorgio Moroder, Donna Summer style, but with Helena's, angel voices, lots of dubbing and lots of choirs and this sort of I don't know. It's something about that lyric as well, which is very inviting in a way. So I just think it's a really nice track. And like I said, I think it would be really hard to have another song after it. I don't know what that should be. Maybe it should be like an acoustic song, just the guitar and the voice, maybe, because it's so intense.
But yeah, I think it's actually a really fun way to end the album, and I really like the I guess you would say it's the return of the classic na na na's in the song.
Yeah, it's right. Yes, yeah. Of course, that is typical Roxette.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I really quickly want to mention the B-side songs. For the album, Sunflower and Necessary, I think are just two wonderful tracks. Was there any specific reasoning why they didn't make the album or anything?
Mm. The Sunflower backing track was recorded in 2002, long time ago. So I had that song lying around since then, for like 18 years at the time, or 19 years. And then I just finished it and brought in Helena. We made like this sort of, it became like a country song, in a way. The way Helena is singing is like she's singing like a country girl, the way she's doing the harmonies and the answers. So I just felt like it didn't really fit the album. So I actually recorded it again with Christopher in his studio, but I didn't like that version, so I just skipped it. And then when we decided that Loneliest Girl in the World was going to be the first single, I obviously needed a B-side, and I liked that Sunflower, and I just felt like it's the B-sides are cool because you can do whatever you want on B-sides. That's what B-sides are for, so I just felt like, yeah, let's use Sunflower. And the same with Necessary. Necessary was recorded at Christopher's place, and there's another version now called Long Version, which is how it actually was recorded. So the B-side to Walking on Air is actually an edited version of the Long Version. The reason I didn't really like it because I didn't really like the sound of it together with the other songs on the album. So it was a leftover song because of the sound, But when you have it as a B-side or on its own, it's fine, and it's very catchy, this. Ooh, it's just really cool. And then of course you can't have too many songs on an album either. You want it to be like a good project So that's another song that I took out, left out, which was on the album for like 6 months or so, and then I just decided that no, the album is better if I take away this song, and that's a song that I'm going to release as a single early next year, and that's a cool song. It's called Incognito, so it's a good song, cool song as well. It's up tempo.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, because I remember hearing about that song from a couple people, and I'm super. Yeah, I was kind of wondering. I heard some fans were wondering where it was on the album or if it would be released. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's very catchy, and it was a single contender for the album. It's just that when we decided that Loneliest Girl in the World was going to be first, and then Walking on Air, uh, I said to everyone, let's skip Incognito and use it later on, because it's too good to be to just be an album track, And then now it seems like people want to have maybe headphones on as a single. Or what's getting lots of airplay here in Sweden is My Chosen One with Leon. It's also a very strong radio track. So we'll see what happens, But it's good. It's always a good thing to have too many songs lying around.
Yeah, so you just mentioned My Chosen One with Leon. I think that's a wonderful, beautiful song on the album. So you said you and her spent an afternoon in Stockholm recording her vocals. What was it like working with her?
It was fun. She's a very nice person. I never met her, and I liked her voice. And I contacted her to see if she was interested in singing with me. And I sent her the demo, and she loved the song, and she did a great job. I like that track too, because it's Jonas Isaksson who's playing the lead guitar, and it's just it reminds me of What's She Like, that kind of old Roxette songs from in that sort of style. He has this sort of very sensitive touch to his playing, which is really attractive, and it just sounded so cool on My Chosen One. So maybe we could have done more with the vocal arrangements, but there wasn't really any time. And then I listened when we were mixing it. I listened to it, and I felt like sometimes it's so easy to overdo production, especially these days, And I just felt like Leon's voice has got such a great character. She sounds like no one else, and my voice is very sort of special too. It sounds like very weird, so it's nice to have this. Let the voices, take control of the song and leave it at that, And then you have Jonas, fooling around a little bit with the guitar, and it got this steady beat going. It's just nice. It's a very sort of I don't know. It's just it gets to you, that song, especially if you play it on its own. If I don't know what the song is. Is it just no? It's Loneliest Girl in the World. No, I can't remember which song that comes before it on the album. But it's I think it's one of those songs that if it stands alone on its own, it sounds great.
Yeah, I agree. It's really one of my favorites. And just and Leon, she kills it on the track. It's just really beautiful stuff.
Well, thank you. Yeah, she's amazing. Really is.
Yeah. Well, what's it like for you getting to work, with some of the artists from this current generation? What's that all like?
Well, it's nothing special, she's a singer, and she wants to sing, and she wants to do the best she can, and you just talk about alternatives, how you should do it, or how you shouldn't do it, and I think for me, being the writer and also producer of the song, from my job or my task is to encourage her, encourage this. It's the same when I'm working with Helena or with Dea. You know, you have to encourage people to and see what they feel and listen to their ideas. And if they have a great idea, you should embrace that idea and use that. You know, because that's how it becomes personal. I did the same thing with Leon. She had her ideas with the backing vocals in the second verse when she's doing harmonies with me. That was her idea, you know, and it sounded great.
Yeah, it definitely did. And, you know, and working with Leon, that, you know, that's obviously a new collaboration for you. But, you know, a big thing about this album was that you got to work with people that you've grown so close with over the years. People like Helena, Dia, Jonas, Clarence, Christopher, Magnus. You know, what was that like, getting to just work with people that you forged these close connections with?
Mm. Well, I think it was a necessity in this case because we wanted to make it like a Roxette album. You know, it is like in one way it is a new chapter in the Roxette history. In another way, if you look at it from a different angle, it's a debut album. You know, it's a PG Roxette debut album, which means that you have to uh, you have to make mistakes. You always make lots of mistakes on a debut album, but at the same time, there's lots of charm in there. You know, there's lots of, you know, all those fooling around and experimenting that you're doing when you're doing a debut album uh, can work to your advantage as well. So I mean, but I think it was really cool that I could have these players around me because we all wanted to make. To create the Roxette style in all the songs, even though we wanted it to sound modern and fresh. It would be much harder for me to do it with other players that I never really that I didn't really know. This was a much easier album to make than Good Karma. Good Karma was a really complex album to make. This was much easier because we knew from day one what we wanted to achieve, you know. So and it's also I didn't really have that many songs. I have all the, you know, I have those 12 songs including Incognito, and I had Sunflower, and I had Necessary, and I had another song that didn't work out either because it felt more like a Unity track. It was very sort of power pop, guitar power pop driven. So I didn't really have that many. Normally when I make albums, I have like 20, 25 songs to choose from. But we knew that every song that we were going to record here was important. And there wasn't any song that, you know, Magnus and Clarence didn't like or didn't want to produce or didn't want to arrange. So as soon as I sent a demo to them, we talked about it, and after a couple of days or a week or so, they came back with a backing track, and then we talked about that backing track, you know, and I changed some things, and then I went into the studio in Halmstad on my own with Helena to do the vocals, and then so I basically did all the vocals, definitely all my vocals, but also most of Helena's vocals in the studio in Halmstad, and then we sent everything down back again to Clarence and Magnus in Malmö. And then when they were done, they added more things around the vocals. So then we went to Christopher's studio to finish things off. You know, he worked with this. He had this old 30s, you know, this really complex, old-fashioned synthesizer that he has on the Martino. I can't even pronounce it. It's a French thing from 1930. That you have to be invited to be able to buy, and he was on the waiting list for 3 years or so, and eventually he got to buy one. It's really weird. That's the sound of the solo on Debris, for instance. It sounds like a tone, ooh, just it's the whining tone. It sounds sometimes at the end of My Chosen One, it sounds like birds singing. That's the synthesizer. It's a very old-fashioned. It was like the first synthesizer ever made. You should check that out on the Wikipedia because it's really interesting to read about that one. So Christopher has that one. We use that a lot because it's a sound that no one has heard before, in our generation anyway. And then we had Jonas. Most of Jonas' guitar parts we made at the Sweet Spot studio in Harpling outside of Halmstad. So he came down for a couple of days, and we that was pretty early on. And then Christopher added some guitars as well before we went to the mixing thing. So it was like this puzzle thing, you know. We tried at the same time we had to decide when to stop. You know, it's like I said earlier, it's so easy to overproduce things because you can these days. You don't. In the old days, you had your 24 tracks and that was it. But nowadays you can just go on and on and on and on. So we just had to let the songs go before, and then we, you know, and I think we made decent choices on all of the tracks. You know, there are, we actually removed, like I said earlier on, we removed a few guitars here and there because we felt like we didn't really need them. The synthesizers in themselves had such strong characters, and like Loneliest Girl in the World, the intro, it had a guitar riff on it to begin with. But it was like too much, you know. If you're gonna have a guitar riff over it, you have to have sort of cooler and softer synthesizers in the background, maybe playing less than what they're playing at the moment, you know. So we just maximized those instead and used those as the intro hook. So it's a matter of you know, deciding what to do.
Yeah. What I think is really special about this album is I think what I think what this album is able to do is you're kind of exposing these kind of some of these retro throwback sounds, and you're exposing it to a new generation. I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, if that's correct, I think that's very nice. You know, I personally, I love these analog synthesizers from the 80s, the Jupiter 6 and Jupiter 8 and Prophet 5 and, you know, Oberheims or whatever they were. They sound good, but also, of course, they remind you of that era. You know, so it's for me, it sounds, you know, it sounds like, you know, it sounds like the records did in those days, you know, and because that was fashionable at the time, and then that was the prime synthesizer, the prime keyboards that were around. Nowadays, you can of course get all these sounds through plugins into your computer, but it's different, especially for me. I like when I play keyboards, I like to have all these notches and things that you can, you know, fool around with, so you can see what you're doing. You know, it's the same with I like mixing consoles where you can actually change a button here and a button there instead of just pressing a touch controller, you know, 17 times, and then you have the bass. You know, so it's a way, because I used to work like that. You know, I used to work and see exactly what I'm doing. You know, so but it's how you learn things, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta ask this. You mentioned the demos earlier. Will the demos for this album be released at some point?
Probably. I usually release all the demos. Yeah, I think, you know, I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I can see lots of people are streaming the demos, and also the demo box that I released in 2014 was pretty successful for what it was. But the whole thing comes actually from myself, because I think it's really interesting to listen to other people's demos. You know, there's a new Revolver thing coming out now with the Beatles, with alternative takes and old demos. I just think it's fun from a songwriter's point of view to hear, you know, how a song started out, you know, and maybe if the lyrics changed, or maybe if it's you know, different chords or whatever. So I just think it's pretty cool. And sometimes, of course, you kill the song in the studio. The demo is much better for some reason. There are many explanations for that. You know, sometimes when you make an album in a pretty short while, maybe you're in the studio with a band for 2 weeks. When you go to this song number 6 or song number 7, you have sort of used all your obvious arrangements on those first 6 songs. So the song number 7 has to be different, you know. So then you start fooling around with it. So maybe that's song number 7 needs a very traditional arrangement, but nevertheless you try something else because you get tired of what you do, you know. So I think that's why sometimes you just feel like you kill a song in the studio. You shouldn't do it like that, but it's because you don't want to be you know, be repetitive, to repeat yourself all the time, and it's just the way things go. You just have to sort of follow the line, basically, you know.
Yeah. I'll say this. I'm really excited whenever the demos come out. I'm really excited to hear them for this album because sometimes I actually end up listening to the demos more than the actual song. Like 727 comes up in my head as an example, because I love
Yeah,
that's a particular demo I love.
yeah. Always Breaking My Heart is a great demo as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I like those, and but that was like that's 727 is a typical example of what I'm talking about. In the studio, we felt like now we couldn't do like this traditional guitar thing. We should do it with synthesizers instead, you know, and program it, and it became nice and it fit the album. But it's a much more catchy song as a guitar song, I think, because that's how it was written, you know, with this guitar riff, and it should have live drums, and it's a cool song, the demo, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So an interesting thing is that this might not be the last. This definitely might not be the last we hear from PG Roxette for even just this year, because I saw somewhere that might be some Christmas songs coming up this year for PG Roxette. Would you mind telling us more about that?
Yes, there will be a single coming out. I think it's going to come out November 18 on streaming services, and the vinyl, the red vinyl version. Of course, it's red. It's Christmas. It's going to be released November 25. No, it's good. It's just you know, there's a classic tradition in pop music to do Christmas songs. You know, I did it with Gyllene Tider in 1979, and I did it, of course, with Roxette with It Must Have Been Love, was a Christmas song, as you know, in 1987. So I just had this idea to do a single. I started doing that, getting this idea when the album was supposed to be released this spring. That was the plan, to release this album this spring. So I thought it was cool to have the album out in the spring, and then, you know, finish off my acoustic tour, and then release singles over the summer and in the autumn, and then have a Christmas single. That was the plan. But now the album comes out now, so it becomes pretty tight. But nevertheless, I don't think it's a problem, because it's Christmas, you know, and I think there's always space for a couple of good Christmas songs. So what I've done basically is it's 2 songs, 1 ballad and 1 up-tempo song, and we made an animated video for the up-tempo one. "Wish You the Best for Christmas" is the name of that one, and the ballad is called "Wishing on the Same Christmas Star." So and the ballad I wrote 8 years ago. I started writing it 8 years ago for a musical that never happened, and then I wrote some Christmas lyrics to it. It was called "Wishing on the Same Star" to begin with. Then I changed it to "Wishing on the Same Christmas Star." So I had it lying around, and it's really beautiful. When you hear it, you're gonna. It sounds like it really sounds like a Roxette, a classic Roxette song. But then I felt like it was so obvious to do like a ballad, and so I felt like I should do it, and really, you know, up-tempo track it also. So I wrote this in July this summer. I wrote "Wish You the Best for Christmas," which is also very cool. It's an up-tempo, like I said, and it's produced by me and Andreas Broberger, who's responsible for lots of the Monomine stuff and also some of the stuff on Good Karma. He's a really great producer and programmer. He's got a slightly different sound than Magnus and Clarence. He's not as old as Magnus and Clarence, so he's got a little younger approach to his programming. But it's really cool. And I play there's an electric guitar in there, and I play that guitar. And Helena is singing backing vocals. I'm doing the lead vocals. I'm sure you're gonna like it.
Oh, I cannot wait, man. I'm excited. Yeah, I think this year I don't need any Christmas presents. I just need your songs, Per.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm super excited about that. And then there's been a lot of talk for a while about a possible PG Roxette tour. Next year, obviously, we're gonna get a GT tour next year, which I'm super excited about. But when can we expect a PG Roxette tour to take place, possibly?
You know what? The whole when I decided to continue the Roxette saga, so to speak, my first idea was to do a tour, playing exclusively Roxette tracks from the past, but then Pelle, our drummer, died. He passed away, so everything got stopped. And then we talked about getting another drummer in, and it was really heartbreaking when he passed away. And then of course the Corona thing happened, so everything got aborted. And that's exactly when I decided to make new music instead with PG Roxette. So it became an album instead of a tour. And then of course I toured with the acoustic stuff, and then and now we did this Gyllene Theater album and touring next year. So hopefully, because the main thing for me with PG Roxette is to play live. I want to tour, and I want to play those songs again, and I want to use I want to have Jonas on board, and I want to have Clarence on board, and I want to have the classic players on board. Hopefully next winter maybe. But it takes a while, but who's in a hurry?
yeah, exactly. But hey, if you I'll just say this: I would love it if you came back to the States possibly one day.
Yeah, well, I love that. I love to play the States. I love to play Canada. I love to play South America and Europe, of course, Australia. All these places where we have fans. It's just we have the nicest and the best fans, the most supportive fans there is. They're really wonderful, all of them, including you. We really appreciate that. It's been like that forever, and you can really tell how supportive people were when Marie got ill in 2002, and then over those many years when she was ill. The love and affection that both me and especially Marie got, it was just mind-blowing, so we really appreciate that. So of course we wanted to go all over the world to play, and it's also so rewarding and a blessing actually to still have so many people interested in those old songs. I can watch the streaming numbers, and there's new generations coming on board, listening to those songs. So it's just amazing to be a part of that. So of course I want to, work as much as possible and meet all these people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I thought was amazing was when you announced the new album and tour for GT next year. Just I know it's just this overwhelming happiness from so many people that you're getting the band back together. Just how does that make you feel?
And it's also amazing. I mean, Gyllene Theater is it's a similar thing, and it's domestic, it's local, but it's just wonderful. I think the whole Corona thing, the pandemic thing, changed a lot of people, including me. I mean, you started to think about values in life in a different way. You started to appreciate friends. There's still so many people that I haven't really met that much because of those 2 years where we were isolated. So it's like the Corona thing changed everything basically. So I just feel very blessed to be able to work with the Gyllene guys again. You know, we're having such a blast, and since we're doing this movie as well, I'm sure you know that we're doing a movie. We meet up a little bit more than normal, and it's always fun. You know, we have dinners and drink lots of wine and tell silly stories from the past. And we just had a blast making this album. It's a really cool album. It's really really guitar driven. No ballads in sight. It's like it's a turbo record. But I like it. I think it's song wise. I think it's the best Gyllene album ever. It's a really cool album.
Man, well, I am super excited. I can't wait for it.
I think you love it. If you like the Avenue, those kind of songs, you know, with guitar driven fast songs, this is your cup of tea because it sounds like that all the songs.
That is right up my alley. Yes, can't wait. Yeah, I'm excited for that movie too. I'm really excited to see that. I'm not sure if it's going to be as good as Join the Flume Ride though.
No, that can't be. Nothing can be Join the Flume Ride. No, I think it's gonna I mean, there's a possibility that this Gyllene movie will be amazing. I mean, it's a great story, and it's it's not a documentary at all. It's like it's a story about five guys, you know, five small guys in their teens getting together and playing a band, you know, and it's of course based on our story. And it ends in 1985 when the band breaks up. So it's not like a documentary about the success of Gyllene Tider, you know, it's nothing like that at all. So if we can find the right actors and find the right you know, environment for everything, I think it could be a really cool picture. We'll see. Time will tell. It's going to take a little while before we can see anything. But
Yeah, because that's coming up, and then I think there's going to be a Roxette musical, you know, a musical with Roxette songs coming up in the future as well. So definitely a lot of exciting projects going on.
That's kind of the musical will be finished. It will have opening in October 24. So and that's going to be cool. That's a script written by Jane Fallon, which was an English writer. And her script is really really nice, and so that story is like really cool. And so but as always when it comes to musical, you have to make it interesting, and the songs are there, you know, because it's based on the Roxette catalog, you know. So it's but I think that could be really cool as well. So it's going to be interesting years ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I remember hearing that Jane Fallon's partner, Ricky Gervais, is a
Yes.
Roxette fan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. No, but and she's a brilliant writer. You know, she's got this knack of making it interesting. So it's gonna be cool.
Yes, absolutely. Just lastly, I just want to ask you, how important is it to you to keep this Roxette legacy going, and really, what are you hoping that fans can take away from this new album?
Well, I think it's the reason why I want to keep going is because I guess it's because I wrote most of these songs for Roxette. So they're like it's really hard for me to neglect the Roxette legacy. In the end of the day, you can close the door to the band, or you can keep the door open, you know. And I decided to keep the door open. At the same time, you know, it's impossible to replace Marie, and I didn't even want to try to do that. I never really thought about doing that. So for those reasons, the new version of Roxette has to be different because it's going to be different anyway. So some people will always have a problem with that, you know, because it's as soon as no matter who it is, if it's not Marie, it's not Roxette. But for me, that's not really the case. I mean, the legacy, the things we did I did with Marie for 30 years are amazing and will always be amazing for me. But that doesn't really mean that you can't do anything else, you know. And also Roxette is it's a great trademark for my music and for the style that I'm writing in. So I mean, I can't really see any negative sides with it at all. You know, it's in the perfect world, Marie would still be with me here, and we could do this together, and we would definitely be on world tours all the time, knowing her, you know, and making records. But that's not the case, you know, and so I don't know, I wasn't really up for closing the door. So I just hope to continue, and I would love to play those songs, and I want to play them with, if it's possible, I want to play them together with as many Roxette players as possible. You know, it's such a shame that Pele isn't with us anymore either. But it's what can you do? You know, you have to look forward in life. You know, it's tough when things like this happen. But you know, time goes by, and you know, you have to go on.
Yes, certainly, and obviously, we all miss Pele, we all miss Marie, but honestly, what you've done here, but by keeping the legacy going, and I mean, and I just want to say that I think you've made an amazing album, so something that I know that they would obviously be proud of, and I know that there are just so many fans that are just absolutely just so thankful for you just keeping everything going, and just continuing to make wonderful music.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But it's tough decisions. I mean, I'm sure the guys in Queen was thinking the same thing. You know, is it possible to have someone else singing these classic songs that the whole world loves so much? No, it isn't. But because it becomes a different thing. You know, it's not the same thing anymore. But it can't be. You know, you can't do that. The Stones doesn't sound like the Stones used to sound without Charlie Watts. You know, he made the sound, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a Rolling Stones. So I mean, but it's a different thing. It is a different thing, and it would be silly and stupid to think that it's not a new thing, because it is a different new thing. It's the way it is.
Yeah, but in this new era, I just want to say I'm really loving it so far. I'm really enjoying it. I just can't wait to see more of PG Roxette, because this album, it's wonderful, and it's truly just an amazing listening experience.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll tell Clarence and Magnus that it sounds good in the States.
Yes, definitely. You guys you just keep on making amazing stuff, Per. And thank you once again for coming on my podcast. Truly an honor, and you're a great person to talk to, and you're truly probably my all-time favorite singer-songwriter. So I just want to say that.
Oh, thank you.
It means a lot.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you too. So, and you should have a wonderful weekend.
Oh, well, thank you so much. You as well, Per. Take care, and you have a wonderful weekend as well.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care, Per. Bye.